All right, let's look at the Dow real quickly. We're up about 262.5 points. Higher oil price is a big reason. You know that score. They go up, stocks go up. JetBlue founder David Neeleman is here on the airline industry. Enjoying, actually, whether they're low or high, the industry is doing very, very well. He's proven that with his airlines for flights to Brazil and now with flights daily to Portugal, beginning like when? Now?
Yeah, the 11th of June. Boston nonstop daily, and then JFK right for the peak season, July 1st.
Why Portugal all of a sudden? A lot of people, like you were saying during the break, have said good things about it, but it's not an immediate destination.
Well, you know, I have Azul in Brazil,
right.
And Portugal serves 11 cities from Lisbon to Brazil.
Okay.
So there's a lot of synergies there. And then I looked at their service and said, wow, you have hardly anything to the United States. They have some flights to Miami and Newark, but they don't have a lot of the stuff the U.S. And I think leaving the United States and going to Europe, we have 34 cities in Europe that we serve. So flying across to Lisbon, spending a couple of days there, we have free stopovers, and then going on to Nice or Venice. Or so it's a perfect way. It's a perfect way to go to Europe very inexpensively. Our introductory fare is $7.99. So it's an exciting country. It's got a lot of potential, and it's right at the beginning of Europe, so you don't have to fly into one hub and fly backwards.
That's
so it works perfect for a hub.
Before you go to Madrid, check this place out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me get your sense of Brazil right now. A lot of concern, obviously, the Zika virus and everything else. People are saying, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you know, obviously it's a great country. It's great people. You know, we got the Olympics coming up this summer. It's going through a rough time, no doubt about it. And so, you know, the government's got to step it up. You know, they've got to...
Has it affected flights to the area and how full
they are? What hurt us is the exchange rate.
Right.
Because a lot of our costs are dollar denominated. And the exchange, you know, almost went to 4 to 1. And it was, we invested, the investors' money was at 1.6 to 1. Wow. And now it's at 4 to 1.
Makes it kind of tough.
Yeah. And so you have a softening economy. You can't raise your fares to compensate for that. The advantages of the fall in fuel, because we buy it in dollars, doesn't really help us that much. So it's challenging. But Brazil has to get its house in order. You know, I mean, there's been some corruption. They've got to fix some of the stuff. Yeah. So they got to fix it.
You mentioned fuel price. Now that's a big chunk for an airline, and a lot of people are mystified in this country. Now oil prices go back up. If all of the airlines are getting cheaper fuel prices, how is it that my ticket is going up?
Well, I think if you look at it on a general basis, you know, fares are at a 6-year low. You know, if you look at a graph between the U.S. has not grown number of passengers over the last 10 years, and Brazil's gone up threefold during that time. And so,
why does every plane seem so crowded?
Well, it's crowded because that's how they hold on to the high fares.
They take a lot off the run.
Right. So if you add a lot more flights, in order to fill those flights, you have to lower the fares. And so because their costs are lower now, and because there may be some softening and some trouble in the markets, people are a little getting nervous about flying, so they have to lower the fares to be able to stimulate that. Now, the other thing is you see Spirit and Frontier who've come out with these ultra-low fares, and now the big guys are starting to set aside a part of their cabin and saying, okay, you want to pay with your bags, you want to get an unrefundable fare, you want to pay to put stuff in the overhead bin, come sit back here.
Okay. Are you doing anything with Cuba? I know JetBlue eventually, but what about Cuba?
I think Cuba's interesting. I mean, you know, from Brazil, things are kind of in flux there, but I think from Portugal...
You're not running to it, in other words.
No, I think from if I was in the U.S., I'd be running to it.
Really?
Yeah, because, you know, there's so many other great destinations in the Caribbean for Europeans, but I think it's interesting. I think a lot of people are very curious about going to Cuba and kind of experiencing, you know, that country because it's been so closed off.
Right.
So I think it's
a world. Yeah. Well, you were a backer of Mitt Romney 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Donald Trump's on fire. He's the prohibited favorite.
Yeah.
If he were to win the nomination, would you back him?
That's an interesting question. You know, I think he certainly says a lot of good things and a lot of things that concern me. So I think it's something I've got to just wait and see. I'm not going to, you know, certainly nobody cares if I endorse him or not. But
no, I know you carry some heft. I mean, many of the business community, even though he's a businessman, are leery, and they're worried that he would drag the party down to defeat. I think Mitt Romney seems to be of that mindset, looking to Marco Rubio. What about you?
Yeah. There's certainly some concern about some things. You know, but I'm not sure, you know, that he would govern the same way he's running. You know, I think when you make it into office, you know, Bill Clinton went to the center. I think there's this rush. I think you are on the far right or far left when you're trying to get the nomination, and when you run, you're more to the middle, and when you govern, you're in the middle. So I think he would be a lot more rational as a president than he is as a campaigner.
Real quickly, the markets, they're coming back 1,000 points from lows reached a little over a week ago. Where are you on this? Bullish, bearish, nervous?
I'm nervous, yeah. I'm nervous. I mean, I think, you know, there's a lot of softness. You know, Europe, it's you know, I spent my life in Brazil and Europe, so you got to be nervous if you're working in those two places. But, you know, I think it got a little heated. I think it had to pull back, and I think maybe there's some opportunities now.
All right. Until that next flight to Portugal, David Neeleman, he has become an iconic figure in this industry, overcoming a lot of naysayers with each and every new destination. Think about that.